Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. Om Shri Saraswatyai Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Yo Antah Pravishya Mama Vacham Imam Prasuptam सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांशहस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् समचरणसरोजम् सान्द्रनीलाम्बुदाभम् जघननिहितपाणिम् मण्डनं मण्डनानाम् तरुणतुलसीमालाम् कन्धरं कञ्जनेत्रम् सदयधवलहासं विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि विठ्ठलं चिन्तयामि. Pranams to the Lord. Pranams to all the Mahatmas in tonight's Eknathi Bhagawat session. We are in chapter 5. We have to continue with verse number 3. Just give me a few minutes. येषं पुरुषं साक्षात् आत्मप्रभवमीश्वरं न भजन्त्यवजानन्ति स्थानाद् भ्रष्टाः पतन्त्यधः. Meaning of the verse: among these, they who do not adore the Supreme Person, though they know Him to be their direct creator and the ruler, and ignore Him, fall from their normal status and go down to hell. OV 52. O king, if we do not worship the God from whom Brahmins and others are born, then this body of human being is simply wasted. 53. There are persons who are well versed in Purva Mimamsa, containing the schedules of various actions, and Uttar Mimamsa, containing higher philosophical thoughts, and are very clever in explaining the nature and maxims contained in them. 54. Such scholars become very haughty because of their word knowledge, and by that pride only they are averse to devotion and worship. 55. Some people are totally ignorant. They do not know spiritual life at all. The cause of their not worshipping God, the master of the universe, is their ignorance only. 56. A sheep does not know the sweetness of sugarcane juice, and it bites only the leaves. Similarly, these ignorant people are mad after worldly enjoyments because they do not know how sweet it is to worship God. 57. But there are persons who proudly think themselves to be great scholars because of their study of Vedas and sciences. They ridicule the path of devotion and are very sullen because of their so called knowledge. 58. Just as a man with fever finds milk bitter, similarly, by the pride of knowledge, the scholars turn their back to the worship of Sri Hari. 59. In this way, tune those who turned away from worship because of their pride, go down in evolution, though they are belonging to higher caste. 60. One may say that a Chandala who loves God and devotes himself to God is definitely purer than the Brahmin who is not a devotee. 61. Those who do not turn to God's worship, presuming that they are already free, go down and take births in the animal kingdom, etc., and are bound by the cycle of birth and death there only. 62. So, those who have been lucky to be born as human beings but do not worship God because of their pride fall to lower categories of life and suffer tremendous sorrow and pain. 63. O king, do not suppose that this retrograde destiny is also for the ignorant, because the person of knowledge meets these disasters by not worshipping God. Dure hari katha kechit, dure chachuta kirtanaha, striya shudra dayaschaiva, tenu kampya bhavadrisham. Meaning of the verse: many women, Shudras and others who are remote from hearing the Lord's stories or discourses or songs sung about them, deserve to be pitied by devotees like you. You should bring them to the path of devotion. 64. Suppose a father has two sons. One is wise and other is innocent, not knowing the significance of his actions. Suppose both of them do something which is insulting to their father. The father does not punish the ignorant son, but punishes the son who has common sense. 65. If an urchin sits on the head of his father or playfully kicks him, he is not punished. But the same action done by a son who knows manners becomes punishable. 66. Similarly, if a persons of knowledge do not worship, they commit sin. But ignorant people who are having respect for sages and God are lifted and saved by the grace of the saints. 67. An ignorant is having no idea of sin. He is saved by his faith in the same. On the other hand, a proud scholar is against worship and therefore his life becomes blemished. 68. Ignorant trusts the sage and bows down to him. One who is proud of his knowledge finds fault with both of them, and by this reason only he becomes a sinner. 69. In the case of the simple minded person, his ignorance is removed by his belief and faith. But there are many doubts and conjectures in the mind of the scholars. They do not believe in anything and anybody. Thus, they fall due to the adamant pride of knowledge. 70. Considering this, you will realize that the bondage of ego is very great. There is nothing evil as pride in all the three worlds. 71. This pride, this egoism is troublesome even to God, and he becomes attached to various qualifications of Maya and is called Sopadhik, modified God. 72. Obviously, those who are ignorant and innocent receive the benediction from the saints if they put full trust in them. 73. There are low caste men, Shudras and women, etc., who are not eligible to listen to Vedas and sciences. 74. If such people have really pious feelings and respect, they become entitled for the blessings of saints, even though they may be belonging to lower castes. This is possible merely by their full faith. 75. The king Janaka said, "Oh, so the compassion incarnate, kind sages, because of the real faith of such people, the saints like you give the benediction to them so that they are liberated." 76. The sage Chamasa added, "Thus, the ignorant also become liberated, but those who are full of pride cannot be held by even God Brahma." Now, the sage is describing the state of such proud people. Vipro Rajanya Vaishyaucha Hare Prata Padantikam Shrautena Janmanathapi Muhyantyam Nayavadinaha. Meaning of the verse: Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are very near Sri Hari's feet by virtue of their birth. and Vedic ceremonies. And yet they are misguided by wrong interpretation of Vedas about the fruits of action. 77. Those who are ignorant and of low caste escape the birth and death by surrendering themselves to the saints with full faith. 78. Others who are twice born, that is Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and merchant class, are normally turned towards Sri Hari because of their initiation to Gayatri mantras, etc., but become puffed up with the concept that they are authorities. They are knowing Vedas and that they are really of high rank because of their birth. 79. They have concept of high birth, high type of karma, and they are entitled to be worshipped first of all. Actually, if their knowledge of Vedas is checked, they miserably fail. But they are so proud that they think themselves to be the most respectable people. 80. Actually, these are the very Brahmins who have the right for thread ceremony and Gayatri mantra. They are supposed to have great interest in the worship of Hari. And these are the great persons by surrendering to whose feet it is possible to meet the God himself. 81. But these very Brahmins become proud of their Vedic knowledge and they are deceived by delusion because of that pride. Karmanya ko vidastabdhaha मूर्खाः पण्डितमानिनः वदन्ति चाटुकान् मूढाः यया माध्या गिरोत्सुकाः. Meaning of the verse, they do not know the secret of action, and though foolish, they consider themselves scholars and become conceited. They indulge in fine talk and are fascinated by the honeyed words praising the fruit of actions, though these fruits are transient. 82. They have no perfect knowledge of the procedure and the details of any ceremony. They do not know the secret powers of mantra. They do not know what technique is to be used for particular type of worship. Even then, they are very hard by pride. 83. A magician or a juggler has a little knowledge, but there are many ornaments and medals and charms on his body. Similarly, this Brahmin, being proud, makes a great fuss about the type of seed and the quality of the articles to be used in worship. 84. By using certain colors made out of boiled wood of a particular kind, experts, giving coats upon coats of that color, bring about a ruby-like hue to a crystal. Similarly, the really stupid people also show off their knowledge. 85. They do not know the procedure of any worship, ceremony, etc., and they never ask others who know it. They practice the ceremony of worship, etc., according to their own half knowledge. 86. These people chatter in very attractive words, provoking people to perform ceremonies and sacrifices here in order to enjoy the so-called heavenly pleasures, including the divine dances, which things are worth nothing and there is no real happiness in them. 87. Listening to their sweet promises that by sacrifices, yajna, you will get the best pleasures in this world and heavenly happiness afterwards is guaranteed. People make haste to perform rituals and yajnas. 88. These people pick up believers to perform yajnas. They do not bother if the host becomes a pauper by spending money. They are only concerned to be the priest in the yajna. With that ulterior motive, they plan various expensive yajnas. 89. With a view to enhance their own importance, they create complicated rituals with exhaustive details so that people are impressed by their activities. 90. For example, a person addicted to drink thinks that wine is nectar and it describes at length how he feels very happy in drinking, by listening to which others are encouraged to drink. 91. But what happens when they drink wine? The poor people become unconscious and they are immediately vulnerable to influence of the bad elements and subject to public disrespect. 92. They consider the state as the pleasurable heavenly condition, and as they are foolish, greedy, and very much slaves to their desires for sensual pleasures, they become eager for those undesirable rituals. 93. Though a worm cannot go beyond the wall, it does every effort to climb and falls down again and again. Similarly, heavenly pleasures are destined to downfall. 94. By attachment to the activities, naturally desire and greed grow rapidly, and the performer has to play false and be hypocrite. And in that, there is tremendous breeding of anger. रजसा घोरसङ्कल्पाः कामुका अहिमन्यवः दाम्भिका मानिनः पापाः विहसन्त्यच्युतप्रियान्. Meaning of the verse: being dominated by rajas, the resolve to do cruel deeds. Their desire for pleasure is insatiable. Their anger is like that of a serpent. They love ostentation and show pride. Such sinners ridicule the devotees of the Lord. 95. After all, what can those poor people do? They have lost their purity and the pious sattvic quality. They therefore turn through rajas quality towards desire and become slaves to that lust. 96. They are caught by the great desire to enjoy sexually the divine fairies, and in order to get that pleasure, they try hard to accumulate enough merit through yajnas. 97. In that case, they do not take care about the accuracy of mantras and techniques, nor see that the materials used are pure. Thus, they do not reach the heavens, but being of polluted mind, they fall prey to deception. 98. Just as soup prepared from rice, which is already sour, becomes bitter and unwholesome by lapse of time, their desire also turns into great anger when their objective is not achieved. 99. As the taste of aloe becomes more and more bitter as it becomes ripe, similarly, when desire is thwarted, anger immediately becomes very fierce. 100. Anger is just like a black cobra. It hisses with hatred. It sits coiled with pride of respectability and spits blame of saints. 101. Such is the place of anger. It is a city square of tamas quality, and at the money changer's count of hypocrisy, it sells the adulterated things. 102. Such a man tries to influence everybody whom he meets by experiment with yogic acrobatics and postures, including pechery, etc., and this provokes him to sinful ways. 103. He again and again emphasizes the necessity of religious behavior, but actually he opens the storehouse of sins and indulges into irreligious actions. 104. These results into great mountain of sin, and such people have no discrimination about good and bad and weigh both in balance of irreligion. 105. They increase their pride of knowledge. They blame and criticize the saints and ridicule the gentlemen. 106. They look for faults in everybody, and if at all they find somebody really virtuous and blameless, they make him a target of jeers and talk many bad things about him. 107. Thus, these proud people are affected by sinful intentions. They criticize the saints even when they talk casually. 108. They sneer at the devotees of Sri Hari and describe their good qualities by twisting them into defects. 109. When any good people like Brahmins begin to repeat the name of God, these people call it a sign of bad behavior. When they hear the sound of devotional songs, they call it a great sin. 110. Such a person who is blaming all the religious performance of devotion and has hatred about prayers and kirtana should be considered as a really evil person, a chandala, and an enemy of devotion. Vadanti tenyonyamupasita striyah गृहेषु मैथुन्यपरेषु चाक्षुषः यजन्त्य सृष्टान्न विधान दक्षिणम् वृत्यै परं घ्नन्ति पशून तद्विदः. Meaning of the verse: Living in the homes where sexual pleasures predominate, they remain devoted to women and talk among themselves for the pleasures of senses only. They perform yajnas without following the rules and without distributing the food or giving money to Brahmins. They kill the animals for eating, not realizing the sin involved in destruction of life. 111. Thinking that sexual pleasure is the highest pleasure, people become mad for women and worship them because for them they are the source of highest enjoyment. 112. Though these people are stupid, they emphatically and cleverly make propaganda that human life is the greatest chance of enjoying sex in various manners. 113. They say that those who advise others to renounce the great direct pleasure of sex and propagate desirelessness are deceiving people by false promises. 114. They further say that those who advise people to leave varieties of pleasures and the sweet company of their wives are rightly punished by their own karma and they are banished to live in forest. 115. They ask, is God not in our home? Is that why these people run to wilderness like madmen? If gods were only in the forest, then why is it that animals like deer, hare, and tiger are not liberated? 116. God can be met by taking a fixed posture and closing one's eye. Why is it that flock of cranes is not liberated on mass scale? 117. Had God been available by us sitting alone in a cave, why is it that rats, etc., living there are not liberated? And why are they running in the search of food? 118. They say that God is really very wise and with great forethought, He has created couples in all the fields of life so that both sexes can enjoy. These ascetics, according to these atheists, are foolish enough to think that God is stupid and propagate total renunciation. 119. They say that it is God Himself who has declared in the Vedas that the only place of greatest joy is the generative organ. But ignorant people neglect this God's word and make a ballyhoo of sacrifice. 120. It is God Himself who has provided greatest pleasure in mutual intercourse between two sexes, but foolish people give up that and take sannyasa. I think we can stop over here for today. So lovely reading. But it appears that so many years ago, the scripture has been written, but it is so much true and valid for today's day. It just reflects how today's society is. Um, you just can't say, and including our children also, that we can't force anything on them. There is uh, there is an aversion towards a prayer. It is down looked upon, and those who don't have knowledge, they talk big things. The TV debates and things, it's a chaos everywhere. And here Maharaj Ji just points us to a so beautifully that the way forward is having bhakti. And again, what we saw in the previous session, Narayaniam, where jnana and tapasa, if it is without vinita, it is not mana. Exactly the same thing we are reading all today, that having just the knowledge and the doing tapas is not enough, and there should be humility that is attached with it. So I love all the verses. I love those descriptions when he has used, like, anger is like a black cobra and it hisses with hatred. It sits coiled with pride of respectability and spits blame on saints. The 100th OV, I just marked it as I was reading. So it felt lovely reading it. Anybody else has any other thoughts, please share. Anybody has any other thoughts? Okay, so let us end today. And then tomorrow, let us continue from 121. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Shri Krishnarpanamastu. Hari Om, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you.
Hari Om. Thank you. Hari Om. Thank you, Varshaji.
Thank you, Ji. Hari Om.